Well, unless an Oblivion gate opens up right in front of us, I guess we can relax for a second.
It's good to be back here. It raises my spirits just to walk these ancient halls again. We will prevail. We must prevail. You're right. We must try to recover the amulet before the enemy takes it out of our reach. You should go back to the Imperial City. Boris may have learned something about the assassins. You'll find Boris at Luther Broad's boarding house in the Elven Gardens district of the Imperial City. The Amulet of Kings is the key to everything now. Once we have it back, Martin can use it to light the dragonfires in the Temple of the One and reseal the barriers between Oblivion and our world. Give my warm regards to Boris. Tell him he should not blame himself for the Emperor's death. He did well to send you to me.
All right, let's look around a little bit. I like this place. It's supposed to be ancient. It reminds me a bit of a Japanese dojo. And of course, they're notorious for their katanas. Now, I like katanas, but I like the two-handed variety. I really like the ebony blade in Skyrim. That is a beautiful weapon. It really is. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to greatswords, I usually like simple. Don't really like floral, intricate patterns and lots of things sticking off in all directions necessarily. Plain and simple is usually better for me. But I also do like the really big greatswords that look like they'd be impossible to carry. You know, like something out of Final Fantasy or the Moonlight Greatsword from Dark Souls. That was a really cool looking weapon too. But it was relatively simple. Although the edge was made of moonlight, it had a pretty cool little story of its own. Anyway, when it comes to katanas, I like the two-handed. Single-handed katanas, I don't know. Unless you're dual-wielding short katanas, like the little straighter ninja versions. I forget what they're called, but they have it's sort of a katana, but it's shorter. I believe the handle's a bit longer, so it can be one or two-handed, but the blade is a bit shorter. And dual-wielding those would be freaking awesome. Anyway. Let's see what we can grab while we're here. I mean, Joffrey did say help yourself to the stuff in the East Wing. Of course, I'm going to help myself to stuff in the West Wing, too. Talk to Martin for a second.
This whole business of being heir to the throne will take some getting used to. Please bear with me. All practitioners of Daedric magic are familiar with the almost impenetrable barrier between our world and Oblivion. What the Emperor told you implies that the amulet is the key to the preservation of that barrier. What I saw at Kvatch. Everything I know about Daedric magic says that such stable portals are impossible. Yet those gates to Oblivion existed. The old rules no longer apply. Kvatch is only the beginning of what Mehrunes Dagon will do. If the amulet is truly the key to restoring the barriers between our world and Oblivion, you must waste no time in recovering it. I haven't always been a priest. In my youth, I followed a different path. I know more than I want to about the seductive power of Daedric magic. Let's just leave it at that. Farewell, my friend.
You know, I would tend to trust someone more who's known evil and made a conscious choice to turn away from it than one who naively goes on as if everything's just fine and dandy and buttercup and roses, you know? Having a past isn't a bad thing if you turn from it. Obviously, if you're still actively practicing, you know, all the evil stuff, well then, okay, you know, that speaks for itself. But if you've been there and done that and turned from it and chosen a better path on your own, you're guaranteed to be stronger for it. And I would think that would help us understand the enemy a bit more, right? That's actually works in our favor. That's the way I look at that, so. I don't care where he came from, I care where he's going. As far as that goes, I'll leave him and his past between he and himself. Well, not a lot of stuff to grab. Spare katanas over there. Nice to know if I ever do decide to run around with these and I want to pick one and put a different enchantment on it type of thing. Or something. I'm not using one-handed weapons anyway, so these are of no real interest to me. I need to find a source of two-handed katanas. And I would guess the comment section will be full of, oh, I know where they're at. And that's great, but we'll figure it out. If one of you guys wants to pass along a hint of where to go look, that'd be cool. I can't say I've ever run around with one. I've always been a sword and shield or shield and dagger or dagger type in this game. This is the first time to run around. I thought it would set a bit of a challenge because I'm depriving myself of the shield, which is an opportunity to basically add a bonus enchantment. It's essentially a spare piece of armor. Consider it a second helmet, if you will, or something like that. Give an extra buff to the character and a bit of extra defense. So, I mean, it's a win-win all the way around. Rolling without that, it's definitely a little bit of a handicap. I thought that would be cool. Plus, it'd just be fun. It has been fun, running around just a two-handed weapon. Although, I need to get in the habit of blocking a bit more with it. If nothing else, just to train my block skill, right? You know, all this talk of weapons, let's go make a new set of weapons. I do have in the back of my mind to level and get my conjuration skill up, because we're left with stronger creatures we can't summon, weaker creatures that are no longer any good in a fight. We kind of learned that closing the gate and taking back the castle of Kvatch. Is the Flame Atronak definitely served her purpose at a time, but up against hordes of much higher level enemies, just goes down too fast. Can't tank anything, can't hold attention for any period of time. And think about this. If you want your summons up to be something of a follower, to act as a tank for you, to draw some enemy attention away from yourself, and hopefully do some damage, which in this case is definitely a thing. Your summons is your, not just your tactical tank character, but also your primary DPS in a sense. I mean, we figured out a way to get some damage out of our weapon. It seems that weakness to magic and stuff does stack, and consecutive hits, you know, you really got to lay into an enemy, which is fitting. You're going berserk with a two-handed weapon, you should lay into your enemy. Keeping up weapon charges and stuff, that looks like it's going to be a bit more of an issue, but working our spells, summons, and weapon together, I definitely did see a lot of a bright future for that when we were messing around with some of those enemies back in Castle Kvatch. So anyway, we'll kind of go along with that, but I need to get my conjuration up. I got to get it to the 75 range, because the enemies we're facing now are overpowering my summons. That's just a little note to keep for myself in the back of my head, that getting conjuration up a little earlier, a little faster. Had been concentrating on raising my willpower and endurance, of course, every level, and I'm always going to do that. Had, you know, put some points into strength and stuff. Strength, I see, is, other than carry weight, isn't as relevant as a lot of the other stuff. Like, willpower allows your magicka to regenerate faster. You know, that's a good thing. Intelligence, of course, gives you a bigger magicka pool. And until you can really put some serious buffs on your armor to fortify your magic, you know, that's a big thing. Maybe some fortify magic potions. Maybe just make a whole flock of those and carry around 20 or 30 of those at a time. And so when I need a little extra oomph to summon those things that I can't summon, or to get a few extra spells off, maybe I could... I don't know. I'd rather have it built into my armor and save my potions and poisons specifically for healing myself and poisoning the enemy. And just kind of leave it at that. If I got alchemy going for 15 different things, I'm not going to remember to do all that stuff. No, another amazing thing about Oblivion, which I'd forgotten, is as you do things, people acknowledge it. You know, just random people around will mention your latest feats, and will also make comments according to your higher attributes. Like if your intelligence is high, they'll say, "Oh, aren't you a smart one or something, or a bright one?" If you have a high strength, "Oh, look at the muscles on you," and stuff like that. And it's just the little personal details. You know, you can just, you know, pass them off as, well, big deal. But, you know, if you throw all those little trees together, you wind up with a forest, you know? I mean, that's kind of the analogy, is you put all that stuff in, and filtering out that stuff and not adding it in and saying, oh, this really isn't important. Well, by itself, it may not be. But 100 little details all put together really make up the picture. If you take out too many of those details, the picture's pretty plain. I'm not trying to sound all symbolic and stuff. I'm just saying, I don't know. Anyway. It's just one other little thing that they just put into the game just to make it more immersive. Everything seems to be geared towards that. To not just give the player a lot to do in the world, but to draw the player into the world, This is probably a good save point in case I make a mistake on my weapons or something, which I am prone to do. Alright, so with my bow, I wanted to, not so much for damage. You get a sneak attack bonus with the bow anyway. And that's primarily what it's going to be used for. I mean, think about it. Also a carrier of poisons. Working that in with my spell, I thought weakness to poison might be great to throw in with a spell. And are you serious? Damn it. I didn't buy a silence. Remember, you got to have available all the spells and be able to cast them before you can enchant your weapons with them. And I don't have silence. Make sure that I didn't lose a black soul gem with that right there. Don't want the game stealing things from me. Alright, well, let's go find the silence spell. We'll head to, I believe, Breville. Go talk to Ida Rienis. I believe she has a silence spell. Well, several merchants probably do, but I think she has one that I can actually cast. That's the main thing, to being able to cast it. The strength of the spell, you can fine-tune that. You just have to be able to do it in the first place, or else it's useless. Kind of like my Frost Atronach. I could not even make a weak Frost Atronach spell, to summon it for 1 second, because I can't summon it yet. So I couldn't even make a custom spell if I wanted to. And that's another beautiful thing about the game, is having the ability or skill to do something before you can start manipulating it. So I was thinking, silence on my bow, weakness to poison on a spell, and then my weapon, try to keep it simple. I'm seriously considering going down on the enchantment damage on my weapon. If that'll make a huge difference in the number of uses. If it won't make a real big difference, fine. Keep the number a bit higher. I mean, more damage is always better, sure enough. I'm over encumbered again. Great. Do I have anything for feather? I do have a feather. Oh, nice. I know I'm kind of maxed here. I need to go stop at a store, and I will. We'll go sell off a bunch of this junk. But why drop anything I can sell here? Pretty soon. Right now, I'm kind of focused. I want to get these weapons done. I have in my head what I want to do, and oh shit, I fast traveled and my potion wore off. Oh, don't mind me, just standing here at the gates. I'll just be frozen in place. I'm about 1/8 of a pound over, and I refuse to drop anything. I'm gonna make another feather potion. Just here, let me just go ahead and concoct something here real quick. Honestly, I can probably drop some weight just making the potion itself. That has feather on it. And that has feather on it. That'll work. For 427 seconds. That is not bad.
And you spare a coin.
That's, geez, what, about 7-8 minutes? Something like that? Nice. That's actual real-time minutes too, I believe, which comes out to probably 3 or 4 in-game hours, maybe more.
Well,
how delightful! Welcome.
The Mages Guild
Greetings.
attacked by necromancy.
Everyone's saying
This
there's
proves
rubble in
that
Gavach.
trusted.
The whole town. Take care.
Is it Breville or Anvil? It's
Delphine
Delphine Jen.
I hope it's just wild talk.
There she is.
Eterianus spells, recharging and training in mysticism. And idle chatter. At your service. Have a look around. You won't find better prices in all Tamriel.
There it is. Oh, it's cheap too. Nice. There's a stronger one. So I wouldn't even have enough magic to cast that.
I appreciate your business. Goodbye. Of course.
Alright, well, very good. See, normally I kind of edit this stuff out. I do a lot of this between videos. I'll go take care of, basic training. If I want to level up a skill, I might go down to the riverside and box a few mud crabs, capture a few petty souls. Probably spend more charge than I actually get back, while I'm doing it. But, practice my hand-to-hand a little bit. Practice blocking some. At some point when I want to raise my speed, which I really do, I want to get my speed up soon.
All over the place.
Like to get it probably around, I don't know, at some point you become almost too fast. Character is almost hard to control, and there are times you find yourself even running off cliffs and stuff, or jumping so high and so far that you actually hurt yourself or even kill yourself, that type of thing.
Good afternoon.
Obviously I don't want any of that, but I would like to get my speed up at least a bit, just in combat. I found that there's enemies that can catch up and hit me from behind type of thing when I have to kind of get out of there. I like to be able to at least move a bit. I'm sure heavy armor has something to do with that, and I can get my speed up now, and then when my heavy armor skill gets up there and it stops hindering me or encumbering me at all, I'll probably get even faster. If I were to put on light armor right now, I'd probably be moving a bit quicker. But I think having a speed of at least 50 or 60 sounds good. It's not something I want to cap at 100. Even later when I'm just kind of just throwing point. Well, if I have to start putting a point or two into it later on, then so be it. There'll be points where if we level, we'll probably stop leveling after a while. Once I get my primary skills to 100, and that's most of them. Everything basically but speed and personality. If it comes to it and we want to level up a bit more, I believe the game caps off about level 25. So we'll probably call that our soft cap, about level 25. The really cool thing about this, the way I build my characters, or I think it's cool, is that I can control when and where I level. None of my primary skills are skills that I have to use other than Mercantile, but that goes up really slow. Even if you have the thief type skills as specialization, there's still it goes up pretty slow, especially at higher levels. You got to sell a lot of stuff, and if you want to keep that down, just sell things in bulk. Early on, to get a few points here and there, you can sell like 100 arrows one at a time, buy them back one at a time, and sell them one at a time to get some points. In Mercantile, you can kind of train in your bartering skills, so to speak. Later on, when you don't want any points really in the Mercantile, you don't want that counting towards your leveling. You don't want your major skills to go up. Then you just sell in bulk. If you have 100 something, sell all 100 at once. That counts as like one transaction instead of 100. So it's easy to train and manipulate that, make it work in your favor. So yeah, basically none of my skills on my major skills list are skills that I use regularly. You don't see me running. If I was a hand-to-hand specialist, I would have like blunt or blade as a major skill. And so anyway, kind of see how that goes. But yeah, we'll probably taper off, low, mid, high 20s, somewhere in there. I think get on a level playing field. I believe the enemies stop completely somewhere around between 20 and 25. I think anything over 17 or 18 is where you start seeing the highest tier, and then I believe they do scale up a bit more in health and maybe damage that they do, after that for a little while. Probably for about another 5 levels, give or take, but I believe the basic cap for loot and enemies and stuff like that is 25, and by then, ideally your character would already be maxed in all of your primary skills that would give you, bonus health and stamina and damage anyway. Like any leveling after that would be to work on secondary weapons, secondary skills, and stuff like that. And you wouldn't really even have to too much level to do those. You could just get your skills up, you know, especially if they're not major skills. As long as you're not leveling your major skills, you don't level. Some people they kind of exploit that system and they play Oblivion through on this difficulty at level 1 and they never get past that. They eventually get into the Mages Guild and whatever novice stuff they can throw in there. Well, you know, if you can get a grand soul gem and make a weapon that does, you know, say a ridiculous amount of damage and then go out there and fight nothing but level 1 enemies, you're obviously going to be successful. You can get away with just having, you know, I mean, you can, well, geez, if you can find a way to buff your magicka pool, you can eventually start summoning in-game creatures against level 1 enemies. Can you imagine having a Frost Atronach or a Spider Daedra or a Storm Atronach or something like that going out there fighting, you know, basic zombies and skeletons? I mean, come on, you're going to be one-shotting everything. That, I play how you want, you know, but that wasn't for me. I think leveling and playing the game the way it can be played. Now, some people would say, well, it's not meant to be min-maxed. Really? Funny. See, when I walk around, I look at NPCs sitting there hitting on dummies with their swords, throwing spells, practicing their summoning. Even there in the middle of some of the mages halls, you see NPCs around there casting spells and training and doing the very thing you can do. If you're smart about it, if you can maximize your skills and your attributes fair and square with things that are available in the game without exploits to make the most. You know, do you pay attention in class? That's like saying paying attention in class is cheating. Oh man, you listened to the teacher. Oh, of course you got an A on that test. What the fuck is that? That's no logical argument to me. Like I say, I'm strongly against exploits, but when you can use the game mechanics as they're meant to be used to the best of your ability, and I'm by no means a master of that. There's a lot of people that know a lot more about the game than I do. I'm just keeping it fair. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being smart about it. And sure enough, some of those exploits are clever too, but I mean, you know, cheat is a cheat, right? Like, okay, I could say this. I could do this right now. I could go buy all of the bound weapons and armor. Every single piece of bound armor and every single bound weapon. And I could put them all on one spell for 1 second. Literally, for 1 second. Cast them all for 1 second. Just list them all the way down that. All right? And what would happen is, and I know this works, is the bound boots will stick. And what you do is during the course of that 1 second, as soon as that stuff is summoned, you go into your menu and you drop everything. The only thing you can't drop is the boots, but you can drop every single other item. All right? And that spell will wear off in 1 second. So all you do is go into your menu, drop all that crap, come out, and as soon as that spell wears off, look down on the ground, and guess what? You have weightless Daedric gear. That is a weightless set of armor, except for the boots, and a weightless every type of weapon that you can get with bound. I think the only thing you can't get is a short sword. I believe you can get a bound sword. I'm not sure about a bound greatsword or claymore. Bound battle axe? I don't think so. War axe. I believe you can get a war axe, though. War axe, sword, dagger, everything that comes after boots in alphabetical order, which is basically everything. See, axe is not axe, it's war axe. All right, so battle axe would come before that. That would be if that were a bound thing, and if it is, I'm not aware of it. But anyway, that is a way to basically get an entire Daedric set for the weight of a pair of boots, and it has Daedric stats on it. Bound, the same thing as a bound weapon would have, Daedric stats, based on your skill and, you know, so on and so forth. So there you go. Is that an exploit? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it designed? But is it doable? Is it easily doable with everything available? Yeah. But then I in my head I draw the line. Now it's one thing to train. I'm in the weight room 8 hours a day instead of 2 hours a day, so I get stronger. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with practicing my skills and not practicing those things which actually inspire me to level up during the course of a level until I'm as strong as I feel I need to be and I'm ready to level. That's like skipping quests to not get XP until you're ready to gain that XP and level again. There may be stuff that you want to do. There may be side stuff you want to do. I don't consider that exploitive at all. Anyway, so here we are. This is what I came up with. I've got a little AoE on my spell now, and the main thing is to get weakness to poison on that. 3 seconds. I would like to get my destruction skill up and get a much bigger mana pool where I can afford to cast a spell that's about double this one and still get an Atronach off. So odds are I'm probably going to wind up enchanting at least 2 pieces of armor with a sigil stone that fortifies magic.
Have a look around. You won't find better prices in all Tamriel.
And I believe he has one here. I want this. Faded Wraith. That works right along with the Frost Atronach. The Wraith, honestly, maybe even a bit more. The Frost Atronach is just so cool. That's just a sentimental favorite, I guess. Frost Atronach, its attack rate is a bit higher. It's a bit more aggressive, and it's faster. The Faded Wraith just kind of stays there. If you're in a small room and you can't really go anywhere, a Wraith is a good way to go. Atronach will, a lot of times, clog up the room. Can't get down hallways and stuff. Atronachs are better out in the open. A Wraith is kind of there, but they're not very mobile. They just kind of stand there and scream a lot. It's basically their thing. Anyway, so that's the gear we're going to roll with now. I think that's a bit better. As you can see, we're leaning towards Frost. And don't know where we'll go from here, but I think that'll work with us for a while, at least. And we're also ready to kind of take the next step and start leveling up with the rest of the... or scaling with the rest of the enemies around us. Got to get a few more points in Conjuration so I can summon a higher level summon. Thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, click that button up top. And if you want to catch the rest of this playthrough, click that image in the middle. It should send you straight to the playlist. Y'all take care. Appreciate you hanging out. Bye-bye.